Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Tourists and residents in and around Carina have been warned to leave immediately as an uncontrolled bushfire continues to inch closer to the settlement, risking lives. For those further north at Sandy Cape, the message is to take shelter as the battle to bring West Coast blazes under control enters its 9th day.
A stern message from Tasmania's Premier as blazes littered the West Coast.
If you are asked to leave, then leave. It is critical that we all follow those instructions.
A leave immediately warning given for those in and around Carina. The TFS urging residents to head towards Ian's evacuation centre.
We believe everyone has left or is about to leave, and certainly the message is don't be in that area.
For Sandy Cape, authorities say the best place to be is by the water, with the fire on the way described as uncontrollable, unpredictable and fast-moving. High winds and low cloud making matters worse.
The wind's basically been swinging around 360 degrees by the end of this week, which is probably not helping fire operations.
50 remote area firefighters and 32 aircraft have been deployed since dry lightning first sparked the emergency 9 days ago.
There's 45,000 hectares we believe are burnt so far. They range from button grass plains through to alpine vegetation through to wet forest.
With bush expected to burn for the next 2 weeks, even more resources are on the way.
Our large air tankers have already begun active service in Tasmania, as well as the Black Hawk helicopters that have been provided to bolster our significant aerial firefighting capacity.
But it's the next 2 days of high fire danger weather causing the most concern.
We've seen plenty of rain and drizzle about the east and some parts of the north, but very little has made it into the fire ground. We're not likely to see any significant precipitation over the fire area until at least later Thursday or into Friday.
Tasmanians can be kept informed via the Tas Alerts app. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, firefighters quickly controlled an outbreak in grassland in the Launceston suburb of St Leonards late yesterday. Smoke rapidly turned into flames, which could be seen from several surrounding suburbs. The fire service issued a smoke and embers alert for St Leonards, Kilafaddy and Waverley. Crews have maintained a watch on the area today to prevent any flare-ups. Tasmania's spiralling debt is raising more alarms as politicians and experts lash the government over its handling of the state's finances. Concerns are now turning to how it might impact jobs and businesses.
Tasmania's budget, a national embarrassment. That's the sentiment shared by a growing number of critics across the aisle after yesterday's revised outlook, as the deficit this financial year blows out by $500 million and debt by more than $9 billion by 2028.
Tasmania is now in a debt spiral. Our finances have never been worse off.
I didn't think we'd be sitting here talking about $9.6 billion worth of debt, so that is shocking.
The opposition also concerned of a weakening jobs market, predicted to decline by 1%, 4 times worse than forecast in the September budget.
3,000 job losses now projected across this financial year. That means less opportunities for Tasmanians.
Already rattled by the Spirits disaster, the state's peak business group's confidence has been further hit.
Tasmanian businesses' confidence runs in line with the way that the state budget is performing. This is a difficult time globally, but a difficult time for Tasmania's budget, and we need to see that urgently addressed.
But the government's standing firm on a 2030 forecast of a surplus.
Our approach is measured, the debt is manageable, and we're borrowing so that we can build the future of Tasmania.
But its response to economist Sol Eslake's report to improve the state's finances, drawing strong criticism from those who negotiated its commissioning.
The lack of effort to even give it any bother has been really underwhelming.
The Liberals insist many of the economist's recommendations are in line with their fiscal strategy, but not all.
With due respect to Mr Eslake, he, in his report, recommended jacking up taxes on Tasmanians. We're not going to follow those recommendations.
Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
The government is also being criticised for blowing out the health budget by more than $1 billion over the past 3 years. The revised estimates report shows an overspend of $345 million this financial year alone. The Greens say the Liberals aren't providing enough upfront funding for health, impacting hospitals and clinics.
Things like extended waiting times for colonoscopies that are well beyond the recommended wait times, extended wait times for neurology services.
The Liberals finger-pointing.
When the Greens and Labor were last in government, they blew the budget and still managed to sack a nurse a day for 9 months.
The government insists it's investing funds and successfully recruiting new health workers. Well, the big banks have signed on to a deal with the federal government to ban regional bank closures for the next 2.5 years. Since 2017, Tasmania has seen a string of branches close their doors, prompting a Senate inquiry into the impact on rural communities. NAB, Westpac and Commonwealth Bank have also signed fresh agreements with Australia Post to continue offering in-person banking services. Bus users are now able to see just how late their service might be running, with the Metro app now offering real-time tracking across Hobart, Launceston and Burnie. 12,000 users already making use of the app.
The travelling public can now control their journeys. They know where a bus is delayed and don't have to sit there and be anxious and worried about is it going to show up.
Making the experience such that more people are likely to use the public transport system, which is good for general health if you walk to and from the bus.
Metro today confirming just 15% of the reduced services have returned after they were cut in August last year. Homes Tasmania's new chair has been named and is expected to play a key role in delivering more public housing. Ben Wilson has been appointed to the top job, boasting years of experience in home building and social services.
One of the aspects that I'm really looking forward to is bringing industry closer to the work that Homes Tasmania want to do. It's very, very clear that you can't do and you can't solve a problem on your own.
He's a doer and he's going to be laser focused on ensuring that we can deliver on our targets and build more homes.
But it won't be an easy task with almost 5,000 people on the public housing wait list. The government aims to build 10,000 new affordable homes by 2032. Former Premier Peter Gutwein says he's living proof of how simple lifestyle changes can change you for the better. He was joined by leading health experts at a think tank at St Luke's, discussing ways to reduce growing rates of type 2 diabetes. Around 5% of Australians live with the condition. In Tasmania, it's even higher at 6%. The former leader saying he's dropped weight and risk factors by taking some simple steps.
But I make certain that I do some walking every day and I get my steps up. Yeah, and I think that St Luke's goal to have the healthiest island on the planet right here in Tasmania is one that's achievable if we each take a few steps towards doing that ourselves.
The public can also have a say through a survey on the St Luke's website. Steam engines from the West Coast Wilderness Railway, Hobart's Tasmanian Transport Museum and the 2-foot wide wee Georgie wood from Tulla have all made the trip to our northwest to help celebrate Don River Railway's 50th birthday. It's all hands on deck, getting the vast collection of historic trains on track for a weekend of festivities, where you can even get a rare glimpse of a royal carriage used to transport princes and dukes.
We've got a model train show. There'll be food vans, face painting, a big diesel display in the workshop. So yeah, it's one of those weekends where you get a chance to really see behind what we do here.
The 50-year celebrations run this Friday to Sunday. Well, as he told us last night, Murph is back out and about checking what's on offer as part of Tourism Tasmania's Longer Days offering. Now, he's supposed to be on a Pennicott tour, but I am a little worried because I actually can't see him yet. Murph, are you there?
If you're looking for Murph, I've lost my job. He's parking the boat. Let's go find him. Hey, Murph.
Oh, hey, Rob, what does this button do?
I don't think you should be touching that.
Mate, I've parked the boat, anchors away. We're on what you would obviously know as being a Pentecost cruise. Which one is this one, Rob? You've got a few.
This one's Wineglass Bay Cruises.
I should have known that because I've been on it for the last 2 hours and I haven't had a drop of anything, have I, Rob?
Oh, I wasn't watching.
Now, let's have a look around the boat here because you've got a number of cruises. What can people expect, Rob, when they get on one of your Pentecost cruises? Because you're very passionate about the coastline of Tasmania.
Yeah, look, I love what I do. My staff love what we do. We showcase some of the highest sea cliffs in the southern hemisphere, caves, blowholes, share it with the locals, which is seals, dolphins, whales in season, and thousands of seabirds.
Well, we saw a lot of seals today. Tell us about why there are thousands over here near Shootin Island.
Well, we're really lucky that Shootin Island is one of the few breeding Australian first sites that isn't in Bass Strait in Australian waters, and something a bit unusual has happened there, and there's thousands now. We saw hundreds of pups, and it's such an incredible spectacle to go and see. It's something that I love.
What you also love is people visiting you from all over the world, all over Australia. The people we have with us here on the boat today, there's some from Sweden, there's some from the US, and there's also some from New Zealand. It's a great place to go and a great place for all Tasmanians to come and visit while we've got the longer days of summer. We've got people from, as I said, all over the world here, some Australians as well. And where are you from?
Sydney, Australia.
All right, go the Swans. Now tell me, you've been in Tasmania for a couple of weeks. What's been your best experience?
Well, actually, it's been today. I really love today. We've been to many places in Tasmania, but this is special, seeing everything that this cruise has to offer. Even though we couldn't go to Crystal Bay, we went to the most beautiful spots. No, it's Wineglass Bay, that's right, sorry. And it was just beautiful. So, this is my highlight of the whole thing.
Oh, that's just terrific. Now, we do get our bays mixed up here because there is alcohol on board, Kim, but I haven't had any of that. What I can say, though, that Rob has been just fantastic with his commentary. He's been telling a lot of dad jokes. He was telling us a lot of dolphin jokes earlier, and I'm sure it was on purpose.
Oh dear, I bet his jokes are better than yours. Thanks, Murph. The registration of 9,000 Tasmanian cats is at risk. The 10 Lives Cat Centre claims it's been unable to contact its usual microchip provider, Home Safe ID, since mid-December. It's now urging owners with cats adopted through the centre to activate their pets' microchips.
The longer that it's on the loose, then obviously there are implications for wildlife and so on, but we know it's very distressing for somebody losing their pet and they want.
The 10 Lives website has information on how to switch and help for affected cat owners. For 40 years, some of the world's top triathletes have been heading to Tassie to tear around the northwest each summer. Next month marks a major milestone for the Devonport Triathlon, one of the earliest established in Australia.
Whether it's the scenic route, the fierce competition or its place on the calendar, something has been drawing top talent to the Devonport Triathlon across 4 decades. The first spearheaded back in 1985 by a group of locals, including Malcolm Wells.
It started with a group of runners actually who ran together every morning, and over time we saw lots of talk about triathlon, this new sport, and it crossed our mind, well, why don't we put one on here in Devonport?
In the early days, crowds lined the street to watch the likes of Craig Walton and Emma Carney take on the world's best. Back then, blazing a trail by offering equal prizes for men and women.
Despite its short history, it has grown to the point where it's now acknowledged as one of the most significant on the national calendar.
Getting a further boost in the lead up to Sydney 2000, when triathlon became an Olympic sport. Inaugural gold medalist Simon Whitfield finished second in Devonport that year.
Devonport benefited because the best triathletes in the world, both Australians and internationals, came here and raced, and it just gave the event such a lift.
Watching and running alongside the stars, also inspiring the next generation, like Ulverston's Jack Latham, with Olympic ambitions of his own.
A bunch of really good guys now that have been to the Olympics and are on top of their game. To see them just running and riding around the streets of Devonport, it's always given me motivation. I've always thought I want to be like those guys when I'm older.
And now attracting the top para-athletes too, opening the World Para Series for the 3rd year.
Race 1 of a 4-race series across the world. So yeah, we'd be looking for athletes to come and get early points ready for LA Olympics in 2028.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News. The Tigers jumped to third in the Sheffield Shield standings with a much-needed win against Victoria in thrilling fashion. Youngsters Aidan O'Connor and Raf McMillan teaming up for the first wicket of the day before rain interruptions looked to derail Tassie's hopes of victory. But Kieran Elliott sparked a batting collapse, ending up with 6 wickets in the bag.
Up in the air, catch can be taken, keeper gets around it, Doran, doesn't matter, he doesn't go, they get the catch, and Tassie with a famous victory.
Radhakrishnan.
What a catch from Radhakrishnan.
Elliott was then handed the Scott Mason Memorial Medal for his efforts. After an injury-riddled career, including 2 ACL injuries, Tiger Rachel Treneman is on top of the world, back doing what she loves, saying she wasn't nervous before bursting back onto the scene last week after 2 years away.
First game, I wasn't actually that worried about performance. I just wanted to be back out there with the girls, doing what I loved. I grew up cricket, because I wanted to be playing with my friends.
After watching last year's WNCL three-peat from the sidelines, she's hopeful the women can still make this year's final with a bit of luck. Wildcat Bryce Cotton is now etched into the NBL history books with a 5th Andrew Gaze MVP trophy and his 2nd time winning back-to-back. The only other person to achieve that is Andrew Gaze himself. Jack Jumper Majuk Dane collecting the Game Time Award for his contribution to the community and encouraging kids to take up basketball. And that is tonight in Sport, Kim.
OK, thanks, Nick. Well, we head back to Murph after the break with the latest forecast ahead of a hot Wednesday.
And welcome back to the backside of the Freycinet Peninsula on the way to Wineglass Bay. Beautiful sunny day as it always has been here on the east coast of Tasmania. One of the people that make it happen on the Pennycock Wilderness Adventures is Izzy. Izzy, you work very hard, serving everybody. What have you got for us every time we hop on a cruise?
Awesome. We have a lot of Tasmanian produce and some beautiful wines from the east coast of Tasmania.
Yeah, and it's great wine. My wife Donna has sampled a couple of those, and you've cut her off, haven't you? But we won't worry about that just yet. Let's have a look at what the weather's like around Tasmania. It's been perfect here today. But not perfect everywhere. We've got some strange weather about and more to come. Hobart today reached 23 degrees, Launceston 28, Devonport 26 and Burnie a high of 25. Very warm over the west, temperatures way up on average. Low Rocky Point 31 degrees, Strawn 29, the Bass Strait Islands 25, Lowhead and Grove reached 24, Bushy Park 23, cooler in the east though, St Helens 22 and Friendly Beaches 19. We did have partly cloudy conditions over the west as cloud moved mainly over the east and central parts of Tasmania. A bit of smoke there you can see. Very cloudy conditions over coastal New South Wales. Plenty of cloud stretching from the Kimberley to Cairns, and a weak front has some cloud over southern WA. Tomorrow, the high moves further east as a series of troughs continue over the mainland, that low moving into the Bight. And doesn't look like the winds will help the fire effort either tomorrow as the east nor'easterlies increase to 20 to 30 knots later in the day. We have a strong wind warning near the fire zone encompassing waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley and also from Wineglass Bay to South East Cape. The high fire danger continues too for the Midlands and Central Plateau. So to the forecast, Hobart partly cloudy and 30, Geefston and Bothwell 31 tomorrow, 31 also in Launceston and a cloudy day, a slight chance of a shower in Devonport, Cressy a warm 30, a possible sprinkle for Burnie, a high of 25, Strawn 29 with smoke haze. Meanwhile, Corinna expects strong winds and 29 tomorrow and 31 on Thursday, not great. King Island 26 tomorrow. The chance of a shower over the northeast, St Helens 25, Swansea a top of 27, Orford 26 degrees. Another warm day on Thursday and windy as well, but the hot northeasterlies will tend cooler west-northwesterlies later in the day. A shower over the north increasing before spreading to the west. A few showers on Friday with another turn in the winds to the west-southwest. And on Saturday, showers more frequent over the west and south, and believe it or not, snow on the peaks. Partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, sunny and 43 in Adelaide, sunny weather in Melbourne, showers continuing in Sydney, Brisbane and Cairns, and a storm possible for Darwin. And current conditions here in Freycinet are absolutely perfect, as it always is for a cruise with Pennycock. And of course, one of the many things you can do in Tasmania is we encourage Tasmanians to get out while the longer days of summer are with us and enjoy some of the things available in your own backyard. You might just enjoy it. Well, you'll love this, that's for sure. And right now, it's time to get back to you, Kim, because the cruise isn't finished yet and I want to enjoy it.
You do enjoy. Thank you, Murph. And that is all your news for now. I'll have updates later. Thanks for joining us. Good night.